Hi. For those of you that are new to the building and I haven't had a chance to talk to you yet, my name is Mr. Grogg. I'm the Dean of Students here at Blackford Junior High. And as a Dean of Students, I deal primarily with student discipline issues and student attendance issues. Today, I'm going to talk about 4 different categories involving, student discipline and attendance. First of which will be the dress code. Then we'll talk a little bit about bus behavior, attendance expectations, and cafeteria expectations. But before we get into that, I also want to congratulate the staff and the students on your great start to this school year. First week has been, great in my opinion. So I'm very pleased with the student behavior, and the staff is largely responsible for that. Also want to clarify that a certain 8th grade language arts teacher may have led you to believe that I'm much older than I really am. However, I am old enough that I had several of your parents in class when I first started teaching math over at Montpelier Middle School, and then moving on to high school and teaching math there. My first 2 years, I believe it was, at Montpelier Middle School, one of my best math students is now your 8th graders. She is your math teacher here. She was an excellent student back then, and I am old enough that I had her in class when she was in junior high. Moving on to the dress code. Primarily issues we have the dress code are lengths of shorts and skirts. We've already had to deal with 3 or 4 of those. If your shorts or skirt are too short, you will be asked to change. You'll be having in-school suspension until a new set of clothes are brought, or you have an item here that you can change into. The length will be determined by a 3x5 index card. 5 inches right here. Your shorts must reach the top of this index card when you place the bottom of it at the center of your kneecap. So from the middle of the kneecap up, cannot be more than 5 inches before it touches the top of your shorts. That's the biggest issue that I have to deal with on the dress code. Other issues involve underwear, bra straps being visible. We don't want to see those. So here at school, make sure the strap across your shoulder is at least 2 inches wide, and none of the bra straps or underwear are visible. Jeans, pants, need to make certain that there's no holes above the knee. That's a little different than last year. Last year I think it was mid-thigh, but to be acceptable dress, here at the junior high, need to make sure there are no holes above the knees. Other issues on the dress code, pajama pants, run into that quite a bit, loungewear, slippers, make sure you're not trying to wear those here at school. Sagging pants, haven't been an issue yet this year, which is great, but pants are supposed to be worn at the hips or higher. There are other issues on the dress code, but I think there's 13 items listed. I'm not going to take time to read all of those. I'll only just touch base on the main ones, and that's what we've already done there. I'll do the same as we go through attendance, bus behavior, and cafeteria behavior. The dress code, again, is on page 39 in your student handbook, and then consequences to violations are listed on page 50 in your progressive discipline chart. Mr. Scheimer's already talked about those. So whenever I refer to the progressive discipline chart, that's on page 50 in your student handbook. Moving on to bus behavior. The biggest issue I want to talk about there is the fact that riding the bus is a privilege, it's not a right. So as long as you want to keep that privilege, and a lot of you walk now and are not very concerned about being able to ride the bus, but when the weather turns bad or it's raining hard, when you're ready to leave, or coming to school in the morning, you want to have that privilege at least where you can ride the bus when necessary. Mr. Scheimer's talked a lot about showing respect. You know, you must respect your bus driver. If you don't, then that privilege of riding the bus will be taken away. So make certain that you're always doing what your bus driver asks you to do. Things that will get you in trouble on the bus. The primary ones are throwing things. We've already had a couple issues of that where some pencils were being thrown on the bus. That's a safety issue as far as hitting someone in the eye, and safety issue from the standpoint that it distracts the bus driver, and you want your bus driver to be able to concentrate on the driving and not being distracted. Other issues on the bus, make certain you're always staying in your seat when the bus is moving. That will get you in all kind of trouble very, very quickly if you're up moving or up out of your seat when the bus is moving. Loud noises, yelling, screaming, using bad language, those are a major distraction to your bus driver and will not be allowed. Again, the progressive discipline chart is on page 50, so if you want to know the consequences to that, you can look there. But the biggest thing you have to remember concerning the bus is it's a privilege, it's not a right. That privilege will be removed if you don't show respect to your classmates and your bus driver. Attendance. Attendance falls primarily under 4 categories. If you're absent from school, it's going to be either an excused absence, an unexcused absence, or a truancy. Excused absence is when your parents call in or send a note in that when you return to school, explaining us to the reason for your absence. And if it's a valid reason, such as an appointment of some kind that you had to attend, or you're ill, then that would be an excused absence. If you're absent and it's an invalid reason, like you just were tired, wanted to stay home and watch TV or whatever, then obviously that's not going to be excused. Or even if you're sick, but there's no communication to the school, then that falls under the unexcused category. Make certain that you remind when you're sick, not at school, that you remind your parent or guardian. It cannot be a brother or sister, it cannot be you. It has to be a parent or guardian that they call the school by 9:30 in the morning to let us know the reason for your absence. Other categories, if you're absent, it's either excused, unexcused, or truant. Truant is when you're skipping and your parents think you are here at school, but you decided to skip school. That falls under truancy, and those consequences for that type of behavior are very severe. And again, those are listed on page 50. Tardies is the next one under the attendance issue that I want to talk about. If you are late to class, but it's less than 2 minutes late, then it's considered a tardy. First tardy, there's no action whatsoever. Second tardy should be a verbal warning from your teacher. Third tardy is when it's an office referral. That's when it's sent to me, and you will be assigned 2 lunch isolations. A fourth tardy to any class. These are kept separate from first period through 6th period. But a fourth tardy gets you an after school, which is going to be from 3:10 to 4 o'clock. Fifth tardy gets you 2 after schools. In your progressive discipline chart, it will say an extended after school from 3:10 to 5 o'clock. But due to cut in staff, those will be changed. It will be 2 regular after schools opposed to 1 extended. Hopefully no one is going to get to the 6th, 7th, 8th, or 9th tardy. These tardies run for 9 weeks. So it starts over every 9 weeks. So you just have to make certain that you never get beyond 2 to avoid any type of referral. If you get down to the 9th referral, then we're looking at a good chance of you possibly being expelled or a longer term out of school suspension. Hopefully that will not be an issue. If you are more than 2 minutes late, that's considered truancy. So if you're more than 2 minutes late, it falls in the truancy category. And again, you can look on page 50 in your handbook to see the consequences for that. Moving on, That takes care of attendance. Cafeteria behavior, I want to talk about that. So far, I've been very pleased with behavior in the cafeteria. Main thing that I'm concerned with is you're always showing respect. That's to the cafeteria ladies, that's to Mr. Brown, myself, Mrs. Frenier is in there quite often, and Mr. Scheimer obviously is in there at times. Make sure you're being respectful to not only the supervision personnel, but also to your fellow students. Don't. These are things that will get you in trouble. Cutting in line. When you first show up the cafeteria, either Mr. Brown or myself will ask you to get in line or find a seat. Once we're sending students to the tables, make sure you're not trying to cut up in line until your table is dismissed. Other things that will get you in trouble are excessive noise, yelling, screaming. I want you to have a good time while you're in the cafeteria. You should be able to socialize, but let's do it at an acceptable volume level so that it's not causing chaos. Make certain that you're also cleaning up after yourself, you're not throwing any food, you're putting your tray up. We've already had a couple issues of students throwing their tray in the trash. Throw the waste in the trash, but make sure the tray is put on the shelf there for the cleaning lady to wash off. Other issues that I want to talk about involve our code of conduct. Our code of conduct, you'll see these signs posted different places in the building. And in this case, it's the hallway code of conduct listed. But you'll see those regarding every area, that you might involve you as students. Mr. Scheimer's already addressed most of these, but I just want to highlight the main things here. Practice respect, that deals with on the school bus, in the cafeteria, and accept responsibility is the A part of the pause. Accepting responsibility means you're getting to school when you're healthy, you're getting to class on time, so we're not having issues there. W is working together. That just covers your overall educational experience, that you're working with your teachers, you're working with your supervisional people, and acting in a respectful manner. Safety matters. The S part of the pause deals with bus, cafeteria, anything that, in the classroom, you're not doing anything that jeopardizes your safety or any of your classmates' safety. Again, I want to remind you to make certain that you're not sharing your passwords to your electronic devices and not sharing your locker combinations or your lockers. That leads to problems down the road, so please make sure you're avoiding that. Before I let you go, I want to make certain that you remember I'm very proud of you from the standpoint of the first week's behavior. Thank you.